Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Zan. Thank you so much for joining my session. Today, we're going to talk about mastering multicultural product management with cultural intelligence, which I will call CQ in my presentation today. Are you ready? Okay, let's get started. The agenda is pretty straightforward. I will give a quick intro on who am I and some context on why this topic matters to me. We'll define terms we'll use in the sharing what matters and some suggestion guidance for product managers and go through a few case studies and then a few additional tips in the end. All right. Well, I'm product manager in data API related place for social media ads platforms. I was originally born in China. I moved to States about 10 years ago to get my MBA at Duke University. Met my husband there. He comes from a very diverse background. He's American, but also half Mexican, speak fluent Spanish. We traveled to Mexico dozens of times over the past years. I started working in Silicon Valley about 7 years ago, and then have the opportunity to work with people from very, very diverse background. However, that hasn't always been smooth sailing. One mistake I made early on was underestimating the importance of cultural differences in the workplace and the global team, which led to misunderstanding or inefficiency. I will share examples later on. This experience taught me the crucial role of cultural intelligence in product management, especially in today's globalized world. That's why I'm here today talking about this topic. First, let's start with something fun. When I see the word grasshopper, what comes to mind? Do you see little arms and little eyes in your head? Do you hear what it sounds like when you imagine it? I bet many of you have different feelings about grasshopper. Well, the reason I know this because some years ago, the HSBC International Bank ran an ad like this. Take a look and process it. So in the US, grasshopper are a pest. In China, I know firsthand that there are some section in northern part of China where grasshopper actually may be a beloved pet. And remarkably, in Thailand, some places where grasshopper may be fried and prepared as a snack. My friend who has gone there said it's delicious. What do we learn from this ad? A grasshopper is a small symbol of how much variation there is in something as basic as a little grasshopper. Imagine how much more complex it gets when you add in the nuances of work, the stress of deadline, the chain of command, competition, etc. So when you're listening today and to this presentation and you need some context, just think back to our friend, the grasshopper. Everybody sees it differently, and that happens a lot in the workplace. So let's get started. What is multicultural product management? Well, to start, we will abbreviate it as just MPM, so we don't have to repeat that mouthful every slide. So MPM is the ability to effectively manage products in a diverse multicultural environment. It involves many things like the time zone differences, global product launches, including understanding how your global team works, and ensuring cultural aware communications and feedback. In some cases, it may also involve learning a few or many words in another language or leveraging pre-existing bilingual ability. I want to share a classic example of someone who constantly has MPM on their mind. A tech PM friend of mine in Silicon Valley says, I need to build and grow products on a very tight timeline with limited resources and scattered teams. I'm located here in Silicon Valley. My product designer is here in this office, but my engineers are in US and Asia, DS in Seattle, product marketing New York. I also work with solution engineering in Austin, in New York, and Austin and Latam, APAC, and Europe. Wow. Obviously, this setup requires a deep understanding of cultural nuances and effective coordination across different time zones. Why does it matter? So why is it different from just being a good PM in general? So it matters for two reasons. It's essential, and on top of that, it's a huge driver of succeeding in a tighter and tighter competition. It's essential for global team because it's a part of managing an unstoppable trend in global workforce, which is that a workforce is simply becoming more diverse. Globalization, demographic shift in countries where tech thrives, and increased efforts towards inclusivity in the workforce are major drivers. This diversity bring with it the perspective of dozens of cultures that have a bigger voice in tech. There's a lot of stats around this trend, but this one that stuck out to me is that in 2020, the US population under age 18 became majority minority, meaning the largest demographic became no longer majority, but only a plurality among many other groups in the US. That means more and more of the population is made of previously less represented communities. Imagine how it will continue to evolve as this population gets older and start joining the workforce. The other big driver of this is remote work revolution. We all know how pandemic changed our attitudes to remote work. And many companies have seen efficiency in remote work, especially if it means finding cost savings with distributed teams. This means more likely than ever for ops or engineering team to be located outside the US. A more diverse team that's located in more place, requires a new skill set. That's what NPM is. Let's turn not just table stake, but what it takes to really survive. Because it's becoming more clear as workforce became more diverse, remote work become more common, the ability to manage multicultural teams effectively is a strategic advantage. Whether it's because of more creativity from multiple voices at a table or bigger pool of talents to hire from, according to McKinsey reports, companies that are more diverse are 35% more likely to outperform their competitors. So one example I know firsthand, that decentralized team create opportunity for 24/7 development cycle. You can spread staff across different time zones. This allows for continuous progress. You finish your work, you ask, at the end of the day, your APAC teammate pick it up, and then when you wake up in the morning next day, your European coworker already making more progress. This helps so much. It's crucial in a competitive market, especially if resources, get tighter or timeline get tighter. So now we understand why, how NPM emphasize a broader view of a diverse cultural environment, and we give some sense why it matters. So what are we to do to start developing the skills as part of development as a PM? It comes down to two things. To master NPM, we first need to understand CQ. Next, we need a plan to develop CQ. And in this case, I suggest we just address it like PM. Launch it, refine it based on feedback that experiences. I'll speak to all the more details. So first, some more context about CQ. Its ability, you can connect and work well with people from different cultural backgrounds. It includes cultural sensitivity, basically being curious and open-minded about what people from different cultures do things the way they do. Cultural knowledge, learn the what and how of different cultures, including how people express disagreements and give feedback. Cross-cultural skills. It's about skills that you can help you work effectively across culture, like good communication, adaptability, cross-cultural empathy. All of these are key elements of have high cultural intelligence. I really like the quote. This Italian. One Italian said to me, "Americans think we are friends, therefore we shouldn't argue. We think we're friends, so now we can argue." This is such an example of how culture differences and CQ really help understand the very different style of thinking or behavior. All right. So next, let's also quickly talk about the different components of CQ and how we should blend things together. Three things: your understanding, your interests, motivation, and ability to act appropriately in a diverse situation. With this element in mind, let's develop a plan to grow CQ like a PM. Here's a diagram you're probably very familiar with. Build, launch, assess, reflect, iterate. We can totally use that, apply that to ourselves. Think about your CQ as your own product. A CQ, you build CQ 1.0, you launch it, you iterate, you come with later versions, more advanced versions. Same here. What you can do is first, learn about different cultures. There's multiple ways, multiple channels. You can read, you can go to workshop, travel, you can talk to people from different backgrounds. This gives you foundation understanding, and then you can launch your CQ in a real world settings. You can actively engage with coworkers from different culture. For me, I sometimes like to invite a coworker on my team, not very familiar with, from very different culture, invite them to lunch and just have casual conversation, where they're from, what's the hometown like, do they speak different language? How does it feel like to move to US? How do they enjoy adjusting here in Silicon Valley? All these conversations are great resources for you to learn more and, assess your ability as well, right? You can also seek feedback from your peer and then just reflect, all the conversation, what go well, what didn't. If anything I said, like people felt like uncomfortable, maybe there's misunderstanding, there's more culture context, I should dig in deeper, and you can adjust and reply to a different person for similar topics to see whether that verifies your hypothesis, and you can get more data points, to assess the effectiveness conversations and continue to grow your knowledge, your sensitivity, and intercultural empathy. And if you keep iterating, in the end, you feel so comfortable, even you interact with culture strangers, someone from culture that you're so foreign to. Like if you was thrown in a room with all the folks from different culture, very different culture from you, you still feel comfortable and confident. You can pitch your product ideas, you can talk about your product roadmap, your product visions. That's what this is all about. All right, with the framework in mind, let's take a quick look at two common example of pain points. The first one is common as understanding of different meeting styles. Here example, if you're engineer, if you're PM, you work with young engineer from different country, and they don't really turn camera on in team discussions, and their profile photo are now their real photo. They're like cartoon or animal. When you talk about your thoughts about a certain feature, you want to seek their feedback or understand whether they're with you, and they cannot speak up. Sometimes they're leaders, the tech lead or the engineer manager speak for the team, and sometimes they slip into their native language, and all of this can be uncomfortable for PM, like because in different culture, for example, here US, camera off can be considered dismissive or even a little bit rude or implied. And as a PM, I need to work well with my engineers. How can I work well with them? I don't see their face. I don't hear the voices. I don't know whether they're really fully aligned with my plan on why they're speaking in the native language. Is that because they can't find the right word in English, or just maybe they're hiding something from me? We can analyze, understand better with CQ and dresses. So actually, some norm in some offices is common to people take the camera off. They think it's more efficient. People don't need to worry about how they dress, like whether they present themselves well on camera. And in hierarchy cultures, people sometimes don't want to speak out of turn. They want to let to their leaders speak for the whole team. And sometimes just simply because they're not confident or couldn't find the best word to express their thoughts well enough as their native tongue, that was this was back to a native language. With that understanding, there's a few steps you can take. First, you can start chatting a little bit more with the tech lead or engineer manager to explore the culture differences or preferences to figure out better ways, right? You can also use one-on-one. That's great, because people, the engineers, probably tend to put their camera on in a one-on-one setting and feel more confident to do that in a one-on-one. You can also use informal chat to bond with them outside work, and also encourage people to speak up. Tell them it's a safe environment. How well you speak English, whether accent, doesn't matter. It matters just like share your thoughts. All the opinion matters, and we want people to share their thoughts and to try to encourage inclusivity in your team. That definitely will help. Another example is liking cultural understanding of very different feedback style. Here in the US, most folks are familiar with the sandwich style, when people, your leader give you feedback and give you positive feedback alongside some constructive feedback. But in this situation, for example, on this product team, you have two senior product leaders who recently relocated to a US office, and their feedback is very different. They can be direct, short, Yeah, sometimes it could be simply say, oh, the product adoption is not good enough. The revenue is not growing fast enough, even though your team is already doing really good given circumstances, right? This can be very hard for product managers to be frank on the team, right? Are you familiar with a more balanced feedback style? This can be a little bit harsh, and you may wonder why I didn't recognize positive things, the achievement my team did on my product. On do they feel like we're really performing poorly? So those things we can address with CQ as well. So first, try to understand, in different cultures, people have, different norms. In some cultures, people think you are expected to do great work without needing compliments or public or explicit praise. And those folks who just moved from different culture haven't found a tool um, to convey feedback that motivate local teams. And you can draft that with CQ as well. One, you can give more context by speaking to folks who are also from the home country where the product leader is from. You can use one-on-one to gain more specific feedback on both positive or negative or constructive, or you can say, hey, this is a recent product launch we did. This is steps look like. This is what misapplication. I think there's a few things we can do differently in the next iteration. What do you think? What do you think we did well? What do you think we can do differently? Right. And more importantly, show them you can use a more balanced way to give feedback. You can give them compliments. For example, hey, I think you asked really good question in that last meeting, and that really forced the team to rethink our prioritization or roadmap for next quarter. Thank you. Thank you so much. There's also saying a good way to influence them, to show them how positive feedback or balanced feedback can really help encourage the team. All right, for time's sake, let's just summarize what I've learned today. Key takeaways: one, mastering NPM is really helpful to build effective, successful team and strategic advantage across diverse cultures. Two, you can master NPM with strong CQ. We can develop CQ with culture sensitivity, knowledge, and cross-cultural skills. Finally, when it's time, grow your CQ like a PM. You build, launch, and iterate. I'll leave you on one final image to inspire as we wrap up. Look at the team. Do you recognize them? They are in the news a lot. They are the key players at OpenAI, one of the biggest AI companies in the world right now. Look at that. Americans, Israeli Canadian, Polish, Albanian, Chinese, French. Like individuals are able to do together what they can do. They can bring together the diverse cultural perspective, their intelligence to drive forward the entire world progress on cutting edge tech like Gen AI. They are changing the world. And with great multicultural product management skills, was cultural intelligence leadership, you will too. We'll also want to leave with a few additional resources as you're along with your NPM journey. You may want to further enhance your multicultural product management skills. There are a few things you can do. You can travel to global offices to experience different culture firsthand. You can learn different languages. I can't express how helpful even speaking broken Espanol whenever I engage with a coworker from Hispanic background, how much it helps. They admire and generally my curiosity and interest in their culture and language. And host potlucks. And also ask people about where's hometown, the home language. That actually sometimes surprise you. Like not everybody from China, from Shanghai or Beijing, big city like that. Not every Indian on your team are from Delhi, New Delhi, Bangalore. There's so many other amazing towns, cities, and people have their own dialect. You learn so much. You can also ask team members about their favorite teachers or least favorite teachers. That give you a peek into their preferred management style. There are a few more resources if you want to learn more about cultural intelligence in general. David Livermore is an amazing scholar. He worked with people, companies, government over 100 countries and published 13 books. And his website, Cultural Intelligence Center, has more information about, like, for example, the 4 dimension of CQ, the way you can assess your CQ level and get trained there. The FBR article I think is interesting. It's an old article, but it has a lot of stories and use cases I think may resonate well with you. And also Asana blog post about for managers. If you want to be a culture intelligent manager leader, same you can do. All right, thank you so much for your time today. Let's continue to make impact by building and leading diverse teams. If you have any questions or want to connect further, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn at Rachel Van. Thank you.